The restaurant was warm and glowing with soft golden lights, but to Emily Parker, it felt like the loneliest place on earth. She sat at the small table for two, fingers wrapped around a cup of untouched coffee, staring at the empty chair across from her. A swirl of conversations, laughter, and clinking silverware surrounded her, yet all she could hear was the echo of her own doubt. Why do I keep trying? Why do I keep believing someone will stay? For a moment, she considered standing up and leaving. Her friends had insisted she give blind dating one last try. They had told her that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. But here she was, sitting alone again, wondering why she had bothered to dress up, curl her hair, and hope. Then came the whisper in her mind that always surfaced whenever loneliness tried to drag her under. Maybe you're meant to give up. But another, smaller whisper fought back. Maybe you're meant to hold on. If you're watching this and you believe in kindness, hope, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories to life. Emily took a slow breath and glanced at the entrance one last time. Her date was now 40 minutes late. So much for her friend's perfect match. She reached for her purse, ready to slip away quietly before anyone noticed her embarrassment. But just as she began to stand, the restaurant door swung open and in came three tiny girls, identical from their pink sweaters to their messy brown curls. They couldn't have been more than 6 years old. All three scanned the room with urgent, determined eyes before marching right up to Emily's table like little soldiers on a mission. And then one of them, the smallest of the three, lifted her chin boldly and said the words that froze Emily's breath. "My daddy's sorry he's late." The entire restaurant turned. Emily blinked, unsure if she had misheard. The girls didn't wait for her to speak. They clambered into the empty chair across from her, squeezing together, their little legs swinging. The tallest one explained that their daddy had parked far away because the lot was full. The one in the middle added that he had asked them to find Emily so she wouldn't leave. And the smallest one finished with a shy, toothless grin that he was really nervous because he hadn't been on a date in years. Emily's heart softened instantly. Something about the way they spoke, he is so sincere, so earnest, made her sit back down slowly. She felt an unexpected warmth settling inside her chest, melting the cold disappointment she had carried minutes earlier. She didn't know their father. She didn't know what kind of man would send his daughters in first. But there was something tender, something overwhelmingly human, in the way they tried to protect him from looking bad, something that told Emily she wasn't about to meet a careless Mona. She was about to meet someone who had loved and raised three little girls to be courageous, polite, and fiercely loyal, and that, more than any scripted blind date introduction, captured her curiosity. A moment later, the doors opened again. A breathless man in a dark blue flannel shirt hurried inside, looking like he had sprinted half a block. His hair was slightly tousled, his sleeves rolled to his elbows, and his hand still clutched his car keys. When his eyes landed on Kira and the three giggling girls squeezed together at the table, his face turned crimson. He rushed over, apologizing without stopping to breathe, apologizing for the parking, for the traffic, for being late, for everything he could think of, until his daughters tugged his hand and told him, "Daddy, stop." She's smiling, and she was. Emily felt the smile spreading across her face despite every instinct telling her to guard her heart. There was something genuine about him, something real and unpolished and deeply sincere. He knelt beside the girls, explaining softly that they weren't supposed to bother Emily and should have waited outside with him. But Emily shook her head gently. She told him she was glad they came, and she meant it. He introduced himself as Adam Parker, a single father raising the triplets alone since his wife passed away 3 years earlier. The girls Addie, Ava, and Aria obviously adored him, clinging to him like he was their entire world. As Adam settled into the chair, his daughters wandered off toward the small play area by the corner booth, leaving the grown-ups to talk. Emily watched him exhale, a tired but grateful breath. He told her the truth. He had almost cancelled the date. He had almost convinced himself that no woman would ever want to deal with a widowed father juggling three energetic children. But his daughters had insisted. They wanted him to smile again. They wanted him to feel like he deserved happiness. Emily felt something shift in her heart. She asked about the girls. And as he spoke, she could hear the layers of exhaustion, effort, and unconditional love beneath his words. He worked 2 jobs. He cooked simple meals. He braided messy hair and bandaged scraped knees. He packed lunches and read bedtime stories and tried to balance being both mother and father. He confessed he hadn't slept through the night in years, always waking at the smallest noise in case one of the girls needed him. Emily listened quietly, each word pulling her deeper into a sense of compassion she hadn't expected to feel tonight. Adam wasn't perfect. He looked tired, overwhelmed, and unsure, but he was trying every single day, and there was something profoundly beautiful about that. As their conversation deepened, Emily found herself sharing pieces of her own struggle as to how she'd spent years chasing relationships that were shallow and temporary, how she feared being too much or not enough, how she longed for connection, but kept finding disappointment. Adam listened with the same attentiveness as she had shown him, nodding, understanding, offering quiet encouragement without judgment. For the first time in a long time, conversation felt easy, effortless. Even the triplets returned periodically, each time with new stories, new questions, or simply wanting to show Emily their colorful hair ties or sparkly shoes. Emily found herself laughing, genuinely laughing, as they chattered around her. She hadn't expected to feel this kind of warmth tonight. She hadn't expected to feel anything at all, except embarrassment. But something was changing. Something gentle and unexpected was unfolding across the small table. Hours passed without either of them noticing. The restaurant emptied. The staff dimmed the lights. But Emily and Adam stayed lost in a world of their own, talking, sharing, learning one another's scars and stories. By the time they stepped outside, the sun had long set, leaving the city wrapped in quiet evening air. The triplets sleepily clung to Adam's legs. Emily knelt down, brushing a curl from the smallest one's forehead. The child leaned into her touch with surprising trust, and Emily's heart tightened. As Adam loaded the girls into their car seats, he looked at Emily with a question in his eyes, a one he seemed almost afraid to ask. Before he could speak, Emily gently placed her hand over his and whispered that she would like to see them again, him and the girls. Adam's throat tightened, his eyes glistened with something raw and vulnerable, and he nodded, unable to speak at first. The gratitude in his expression was quiet but immense. Emily wasn't just giving him a chance, she was giving hope a chance. Days turned into weeks. Their next meeting wasn't a candlelit dinner, it was a trip to the park. Emily arrived with fruit snacks and coloring books, and the girls tackled her legs like she'd been part of their lives forever. They ran around the playground, laughing, calling her name, begging her to push them on the swings. Adam watched with awe. How naturally she fit in, how she didn't hesitate, how she didn't step back from the chaos but embraced it with open arms. He had feared dating because he thought anyone he met would see the girls as a burden, an inconvenience, a reminder of a past he couldn't erase. But Emily saw them as a blessing. Months passed, and their bond deepened. Emily became a fixture in their lives, a steady presence, a gentle comfort. She helped with school projects, stayed for dinner, and braided little curls with trembling but determined hands. The girls began calling her Miss Emmy, then Emmy, and one night, when Adam was washing dishes and Emily was reading bedtime stories, the smallest triplet slipped and called her Mommy Emmy. Emily froze. Tears welled. She kissed the girl's forehead and tucked her under the blanket. Adam stood silently in the doorway, heart full and aching. He approached Emily slowly that night, thanking her not just for being there, but for caring, for staying, for loving his daughters without condition. Emily told him she loved all 4 of them. One night months later, Adam invited her to their backyard. Fairy lights hung from the fence, the girls wore matching white dresses. A small table held a bouquet of wildflowers the girls had picked themselves. Emily stepped into the yard and gasped at the soft glow of light surrounding her. The triplets ran up to her, each holding a hand-drawn card. Will you be part of our forever family? Will you stay with Daddy? Will you marry us? Emily's tears fell instantly. Then Adam stepped forward, kneeling under the twinkling lights. His voice trembled as he asked her the same question, but with every fear, every hope, every dream held in his trembling hands. Emily's answer was yes, 1,000 times yes. The girls squealed, jumping up and down. Adam held her close, and she knew this was the moment her life had been leading toward. Not the quiet tables for two, not the empty, lonely blind dates, but these are this wild, beautiful, imperfect family. This was her miracle. This was her home.